So the meeting's recorded. So I'm hoping everything goes well. I called in all the beautiful energies in Archangel Michael to come in and sure that everything works. So thank you everybody for coming. And if you can put yours on mute, definitely, so that there's no feedback for other people, would be great. Connection isn't great. I might have to turn off my video. Okay, that's fine. Or sometimes if you go back out and pop back in, that happens too. So it's all depending where you're from and how the connections are going. So thank you everybody for coming. This is the first time I've ever done a so-called astrology class or astrology little mini workshop. It is something that has been in the works, something that has been asked many times from people for me to do. So it took me a little bit. I wanted to make sure, here comes Raylene, I did it right. I did it right, Scorpio. And making sure that I had it put it together as best as I can within my little brain and as it goes through. So most of you do know who I am, Mary June Tracy, the Guru Mama, psychic medium, spiritual love of life coach, and an astrologer. Either I've given you readings or you've attended my classes or both. So I am so honored that you are here with me today and gracing me with your presence in this time. We do have an extra that is behind me. I don't know if you can see him, but my grandson is here, laying down. So he's usually not too far away from me in whatever I do. So he said he wanted to stay, so that's good. So let me see if this will work. I did a share. So I have a share. And so it's going to be a slideshow presentation before I start. So it's going to be a slideshow presentation of PowerPoint. And any questions, we'll keep sorted to the end. We'll keep to the end. So if you have questions, definitely have your journal out, write down your questions as we go along. I'm not going to be reading anybody's chart today. So if it's something specific to you, like you want me to start reading your chart, I'm not going to read your chart. We'll have to do that on a different time. And yeah, so let's just get started. Let's get started. So for my type A personality people in this class, you'll be very proud of me because most of my classes are usually channeled. This one I really structured. So for those who love the structure, I really try to keep things in order. So I am a Scorpio, I am a Cancer moon and a Cancer rising. So that is my sign. Oh, won't it do it? There we go. So a little bit more about myself. I'm known as the Guru Mama. I've been doing astrology probably since 2010, if not a little bit before that. And professionally, I've been doing astrology since 2017. And I love coffee. So if you don't know that about me, you will know that now because I am a coffee lover and a coffee connoisseur. And I usually like to go to one place to get my coffee. This is very late. Oh, there we go. So a little bit about what astrology is or about astrology. So astrology is about 8,000 years old. And at least that's how far back the records that we have are about 8,000 years old. There was a library, the Library Alexandria, that burnt down. And they believe that there was information in that library. Let's see if I can get her in. There we go. And so records for astrology were burnt up. So astrology is older than religion. And it holds, we've been looking up to the sky for guidance for eons. Our ancestors have used the stars to navigate, to travel, to get from point A to point B, and using it. Captain Cook used Venus to travel around the world, and used that as his point in the sky to get to his destinations, and followed the planet Venus. Little tidbit there. This is an Egyptian temple, and it's dated about 1 BC. And if you look and you can see closely, there is Taurus, we have Pisces, there is the twins there, we do have Scorpio, we have the crab, and the other signs are in here. You just have to sort of look around and you'll see them in there. And the Egyptians had other constellations that they followed as well. So, so this being on the roof of one of the temples, which is pretty cool. So what about astrology? What makes it sort of unique? Well, it is exclusive, just saying. And it was practiced by royalty. All royalty had their charts done. It was practiced by the millionaires and billionaires and religious leaders. It was also by the elite and political leaders and secret societies. So it was not given to the regular Joe just down the road, because you could know things. And that's the thing about astrology. There's things that you can know when you look into the sky. And so misunderstood, you know, so they thought, because knowledge is power. Astrology has been branded today as being fake or entertainment. And it's been written off, and a lot of people don't believe in it. And there are people that say, do you really believe in that? Are you sure? Until I ramble off a few things about their sign or information about their sign, and then they're just like, oh, I love the O's when I get from people. And the accuracy that can come from the astrology. So astrology is making a comeback. It is actually, you will find more astrologers online. There's loads of books and information that is coming out about astrology. And there's many different apps that that are being designed for astrology at this time, which is very cool. So here are essentially what you can do with astrology. So you can uncover who you really are deep down, so you can make sure you are living in alignment with your higher calling. You can gain greater acceptance for your quirks and flaws, and have tolerance and understanding for others. Understanding why you feel the way you feel, and why you have particular pressures, challenges, and opportunities at certain times in your life, and how long they will last. That can be all found in your chart, which is quite amazing. Experience easy decisions making in your life with astrology. You can find out about relationships, careers, business, health, creativity, even when searching for who or where to live. It can help with past karma, disruptions, all within your chart. This chart over to the side right here, this is my chart. And that's what my chart looks like. Every chart looks different and has different aspects in it and different lines in it. But when you look at it, this for say is my chart right here. So with your chart, there's also where you can uproot limiting beliefs, blocks, and things that hold you back. When I look at a chart can reveal to me how much karma somebody has come in with and how much they have to really work on to overcome. and why they seem to have maybe more struggles than, per se, Oprah Winfrey or Beyonce. So you could tell that within a chart. So when we look at a chart and we calculate a chart, you will need your birth date, the exact time of birth, the city or country of birth. So we need to have all three of those. I could pull up a chart. Okay. So here we have just a basic fun little chart here. And in here we have all of the zodiac signs around and the glyphs. So these little funny little things here are called glyphs, and they are associated with each of the signs. And these glyphs have been used for thousands and thousands of years. So they're not going to change anytime soon, just an FYI. So as we look at this chart here, we're going to go through what we call the anatomy of the chart. And we are going to go through the zodiac signs, which are these on the outside. And we're going to be talking about the houses. And we're going to go through the planets today of this. And as we are looking at a chart, we are looking at a chart from the Earth's perspective of what is rotating up in the sky at the time of birth. Okay, so when we look at this and when we look at a chart, here we are, here's the Earth. The Earth is looking at the sun and where the sun is going to be in what sign at the time of birth. We have the Earth's orbit around the sun. And then we have what we also call the ecliptic. And the ecliptic or the orbit is with also what rotates all the way around the sun. Everything goes in a counterclockwise motion around the sun. It does not move in a clockwise, it is in a counterclockwise motion as it goes around the sun. Okay, so we have everything here, we have it all going around. This line here is the horizon line. Anything above here is where the sun would be if the sun was up. If it's below here, we know the sun was not daytime. So here when we look at this chart, the sun is below the horizon line, so we know that it was evening. And the sun was not going to rise for some time yet. So the zodiac signs. Zodiac signs equal the zones, and the zodiac signs equal the zones of the skies. So when I teach astrology, my main goal is wanting to make this as simple as I can and as easy for you to retain. Because, and I'm going to stop the share for a moment, astrology, when you look at a chart, it is complex and it can be overwhelming because you look at it and you're just like, what the fuck just came up? All of this, all of this jibber jabber, it's like it is a whole new language of learning. And it can be overwhelming. So my job for today is trying to make it as simple for you so that you are able to understand the rotation, understand how to, when you look at your chart, what to start to look at as you are trying to decipher the things in your chart, okay? So I'm going to try and not go too fast for you, but I don't want to take up your whole evening because all of you know I can talk. Just saying. So, so I want to make this as easy as possible for you guys. So the zodiac signs equal the zones of the sky. They relate to the progression of the natural evolution of life. And you're just probably saying to me, Mama, you said you're going to make this easy, and now you give me this. So this sounds like a really big deal and a big phrase, and it is. So it's very deep concept. The idea of that there is this natural pattern that we always follow as humans in our development. We naturally evolve from the energy. So of Aries to Taurus, from Taurus to Gemini, from Gemini to Cancer, from Cancer to Leo, from Leo to Virgo, from Virgo to Libra, from Libra to Scorpio, Scorpio to Sagittarius, Sagittarius to Capricorn, Capricorn to Aquarius, and Aquarius to Pisces. Ooh. So more simply put, they describe different types of behaviors and tendencies we as humans all have. So the zones of the sky describes different types of behaviors and tendencies that we can have as humans. And what I love about this is there's only 12 different types of people in the whole world. It makes it really fun to understand people because you could only be one of those 12. But then, of course, you have the planets and that's where all the layering starts to come in with it all. So with the behavior and tendencies we can have as humans, and when we have any planets in a sign, it emphasizes that energy in our energetic makeup. Okay? So many times you'll see that you get a chart and maybe there are empty houses. Doesn't mean they're not important, but on the day you were born, there were certain places or certain aspects that were more fundamental in what you came in here to do than others. The others will be added as the transits go around, which I'll explain in a little bit. Don't want to lose anybody. So we begin with the beginning of astrology, the beginning of the chart. The chart always starts with Aries. Aries to astrologers, this is the beginning of the year, not January 1st. We start with Aries because that is springtime. It is the starting of new. And Aries, as we see, and here's what it looks like in the sky. So Aries is sort of kind of looks like a Nike symbol, like a little swoosh. Describing it is it's ruled by Mars. It is a fire element. It is the first house, and it's promoting the things you are most passionate about in order for others. It fires other people up and brings fresh energy into their lives too. If anybody has, if they can mute themselves, because there's a little bit of backplay I can hear, so I don't want that to go on to other people. And sort of single words about them: the pioneer, the warrior, the entrepreneur. So those are things that describe that sign of Aries. So keep in mind your sun sign as I go through this. And we don't have the sun sign. You will also have other planets too. But just keep in mind the sign that you put down. So you put down your name and then you put down Aquarius or Sagittarius or Virgo. That's your sun sign that you put down. Okay, so keep that in mind. Next is Taurus, and this is the Taurus sign, and here is the Taurus glyph. It is ruled by Venus. It is an earth element. It is the second sign. and providing a sense of stability, calm, or serenity to others in a beautiful, grounded way that makes them feel well supported. So with them, they are the builder, the grower, the pleaser seeker, the pleasure seeker. And they are very much, because of Venus, they look into pleasure and they seek pleasure. They are part of the 5 senses. And that's Taurus. Next is Gemini. I'll put this down over here. And this is the glyph for Gemini. And here it's very similar in the stars. And Gemini is ruled by Mercury. It is the communication, the god of communication. Air element rules the 3rd house. So they change their mind a lot. So Geminis, they are the twin, they are the duality. They're called mutable. They do change their mind a lot. So things in their mind, so they can easily see both sides to an issue. Then fluently and very quickly, they can be uninterested and onto something else. They can come in a way that is very easy for others to approach, understand, and utilize with the aim at meeting them at their level. They're very good at explaining things, or basically getting, like on social media, is how much information you can fit in an Instagram post. So that would be very good, little trait of the Gemini. They're the messenger. They are the distiller, and they are the collaborator. And there are 5 ways to get more elements, or 3 ways to get ahead of this lifestyle. So with the Geminis, they can sort through and proofread and do things very quickly. Cancers. Cancers are ruled by the moon, and the moon necessarily, the moon is not considered a planet, but with astrology, we do consider it a planet. And it has to do with our emotions, our sense of security, and concerned with nurturing, protecting, and calming others down. And we have with that they need, in a way that they seem to feel seen and heard, comfortable, safe, and secure. Our Cancers, they are the nurturer, the protector, and the empath. They are the water element, and they're the 4th house. Leo, lovely Leos. So Leos, they are ruled by the sun. And like the moon, it's not a planet, but it is considered within, when we, with astrology, we bring it in as a planet. A fire sign, rules the 5th house, standing up as a shining example of what is possible for others when they step into their power, embrace their best and boldest selves. They are the leader, the performer, and the joy seeker. And you see the constellation, it's kind of like, if you squint, it's kind of very similar as the glyph too. Virgos, like Gemini, it feels, it feels a little bit different. They are ruled by Mercury, but they are being in the earth are a lot more grounded. So they are an earth sign, and they are grounded and bringing the physical resources to the earth, where Geminis are air and everything is very intellectual. It comes in through the air. So physical resources, they are removing blocks and barriers that get in the way of making everyday life feel easier, more enjoyable, more whole, or in control. They are the healer, the analyst, and the planner. And they are very much where they are into the small details. So you will find a lot of times with Virgos, they will notice the tiniest details of things, and taking away from, away from the greater holistic vision of what they are trying to achieve. So being the planner, they will pick up on the smallest of things and make sure it's all added in. So that is that of the Virgo. Libras, the balancers. The ruler, they're ruled by Venus as well. Air element, 7th house, and they bring a sense of beauty, balance, or harmony to others in a way that makes them feel more peaceful and aligned. They are the peacemaker, the lover, and the mediator. And they are the constellation of balance and wanting to bring in balance. And, you know, with them, they're the ones that want to weigh everything out and make sure everything is fair with the Libras. Scorpio, ruled by Pluto and Mars. So the new ruler of Scorpio is Pluto. The old ruler is Mars. They are the water element and they are the 8th sign. Getting the true core of a problem in order to evolve to a higher level of consciousness, awareness around what is holding you back. Scorpios are rebirth and transformation and evolution and big topics. Naturally intense, get to the core of the problem or an issue of understanding where it comes from so they can evolve to a higher level of consciousness. Awareness on how did the problem start and how we can change this and get over the barrier. So they are the detective, they are the phoenix, and the strategist. Scorpios question, they transform, reinvent themselves over and over again. If you want to look at a real true Scorpio, Madonna. So new things each time, letting go of who you used to be and becoming the new version. So Scorpios are very much, they shed the old, bring in the new. Quite easily, and you'll see that. And if anybody has written me anything or like many times what I get from, because I, being a Scorpio, that people give me a long version of everything that's going on and everything that's happening. And I will read it. I do read it. And I'll give them back 2 sentences. And they're just like, oh, because that's what a Scorpio does. We look, we analyze, we get straight to the point. And they will make changes very quickly when it comes to things with their business or even within their own selves. Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. They are a fire element. And they love to share what they're interested in. And they are a fire element and a 9th house. So sharing the things you are most interested in, they are inspired by or curious about, and bring back what you have learned or experienced to others, and to guide others to widen their perspective of what's possible. Sagittarius usually love to share. They want to tell you things. They want to go. Yes, they do. They get curious. They get excited about something. They want to make sure everybody knows about it. And they are the scholar, the guide, the expander. Okay. And as you can see, it is an arrow shooting upright. So they going straight up to source. Capricorn. They are ruled by Saturn. They are an earth element and they are the 10th house. Restructure and discipline, hard work. They provide a structure, system, strategy, or a program to help others achieve a new level or growth or success as efficiently as possible. That is their rule. And holding people accountable is what Capricorns are very well known for. They are the coach, the teacher, the taskmaster. So, Aquarius. Aquarius are ruled by Uranus and Saturn. So Saturn's the old ruler, Uranus is the new ruler. The air elements, and they are the 11th house. Spreading new age forward thinking, cutting edge or unconventional information to make the world a better place for community in your own special way. So they are cutting edge, and nobody is less or more than anybody else. They're unique and they're different. The humanitarian, they're also known as the mad scientist and the rebel. Pisces, the last sign. They're ruled by Uranus and Jupiter. I should have said Neptune. I said Uranus there. That's wrong. I'll change that. But they're ruled by Neptune. I don't know why I put Uranus there. But they're ruled by Neptune and Jupiter. They're a water element, and they are the 12th sign, inspiring and uplifting to others to believe in themselves and the magic of the universe, as often not normally experienced in the everyday life. They are the spirit, the dreamer, the spiritual healer, and the martyr. And they are the ones that love to take you on journeys. They are beyond the mundane. You know, for paying bills and eating and food, they are like they could be easily in their own world and very distracted very easily. And they give themselves up emotionally very easily, and they give up for happiness. So they'll give up themselves in order for you to be happy, because then if you're happy, then they are happy. So that is definitely the martyr syndrome for them. So we're going to do this as a super brief overlook of the zones in the sky and the different zones of the sky. And the zone of the sky is that there's 360 degrees measures, and the sun moves 1.0145 degrees every day. And the whole cycle of this is based on the sun, and the sun gives us light, and we love the sun, don't we? So in here we have, with the 360 degrees, each notch here, like that on a ruler, is 1 degree. The first one starts at 0 and it goes to 29, from 0 degrees to 29. So when you enter 0 degrees into a sign, you are that sign. When your sun hits that sign at 0 degrees, that's what it is. Okay? And I know there's many different philosophies about that, but that's why this is sort of a brief overlook of looking at a chart, and going into many layers is it's a whole nother class, as I say. So when we look into this is Western astrology, and it's known as tropical astrology because it's all centered around the path of the sun and the ecliptic, and going around the ecliptic. This is why we have a leap year, is because the sun moves more than 1 degree a day. Every 4 years, we have to reset our human calendar to match back up with the heavens. That's why every 4 years, so last year we had a leap year because we had to reset to that of the galaxy. And our calendar that we use now is called a sun calendar because we follow that of the sun on the calendar. And I feel we already have a clock in the sky, and maybe one day the calendar will change back to back to maybe even a moon calendar, which is actually more accurate than the sun calendar. But for now, we are on this calendar. And the biggest sections of your chart are these open spaces. So we have these open spaces on your chart. These are all the big sections. And astrology is coming from the fact we are on Earth right now, and we're looking outside, out into the sky, obviously, and the planets. And the planets don't orbit the Earth. We know that. Where we are from where we stand, this is what we are seeing. So we are seeing this from where we stand. And each planet moves at 1 degree point at its own pace. So each planet has a different degree it moves or a different amount it moves. Some move very quickly and some move a lot slower within our chart. So they take a longer time to get around. This here are the glyphs of the planets. The only one I don't have here, and well, I'll show it to you in a bit, is the sun and the moon. So this here is Mercury. This is Venus. Here's the glyph of Earth. We have Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So each of these are the glyphs. So when you see these on a chart, you will see this. You won't see their names. Okay? Now we take all of this and we put it here, poof, because it is so much easier for astrologers to interpret for the purpose of doing a reading or looking at your chart. And the planets, when you start looking at the chart, you start finding out where the planets are and get an idea where they are. So when we look here, we start to see, oh, well, this glyph here, a circle with a dot in the middle, is the sun. And then we have the one with the two antennas and the little line down and across, so that's Mercury. Excuse me. And then we have Neptune, Venus, Mars. Then we have over here, we have Saturn. We have Jupiter. Here's the moon, Uranus, and Pluto on the chart. And I did a couple of them. I didn't talk about because that is an asteroid or a dwarf planet. So we're not talking about Chiron today. We're not I will be bringing in the nodes. So we'll talk a little bit about the nodes, but I didn't bring in the other aspects for today's purposes. So what are planets? When we read a chart, we begin by finding the planets. Then we look at which zodiac sign and house it's in to determine what it means for us. Okay? So when we go back, we look at what planet that we want to zone in on, and we pick a planet. So usually we want to start with the sun. We look at where the sun is in Scorpio, and then we look at what house it's in. And that's going to tell us a lot of what's going on within that energy for that person. The planets pinpoint different aspects of your character. What do you value and what excites you? So a lot of times, when I look at the chart, it'll tell me a lot to do with, what people's interests are. How they might think, or even things to do with ailments or love life is also in there in your chart. So the planets and points. So the sun and the moon. So the sun, how you express yourself the most, how you are out there, what's going on. The moon, the sun's going down, the moon's coming up. Your process, your emotion, what makes you feel most fulfilled. So the sun, here I am. The moon, how I feel. So you might come out and express yourself in one way, and the moon has you feeling differently from the way that you express yourself. Mercury, how you think and communicate. What you are interested in, it's how your mind works. So where it is, are you really into details? Is Mercury in a place where it's happy or sad? Where is it? So that has, and how you are thinking and approaching things. Venus, what you value, desire, and how you attract it. Venus likes things. She's a goddess. She likes, you know, she's goddess Aphrodite. She wants beautiful things. She wants to feel good. She's not going to buy cheap cologne. She's the one who, you know, especially, you know, she's ruled by Taurus and she's ruled by Libra. So they value very beautiful things. Mars, what motivates you, what drives you to work hard. So he's a guy, he's a go-getter. Let's get going. Let's get things done. Jupiter, what excites you the most and brings you joy? Saturn, the biggest challenge to overcome, the promise you made before you were born. That's Saturn. So he plays a little big part of your karma. So he is also known as the Lord of Karma, is Saturn. Uranus, how you are different from others. Uranus does its own thing. If you ever watched or, you know, read anything about Uranus, Uranus has its own orbit and it will even flip in the middle of its orbit and flip its poles quite often. So Uranus is going to do what Uranus is going to do. Neptune, what you dream, your vision for the future. So Neptune is the one that will move through other dimensions, other realms. That is Neptune. Pluto has two glyphs. You'll see it in two different ways on a chart. That's why I put it here. And it's how you are meant to evolve and face your fears. Since he is the last planet in our solar system that we can see, that we know of, that this is where it's like, you know, how we are going to face our fears because it's far out there. So sometimes that can be a scary thing. We have the South Node, which is your past life karma, previous soul skills, and the North Node, your future destiny, your greater potential. We also have lines, certain lines on the chart have meaning. So we have one that's called AC. So this is where when we ask people, what's your rising sign? So as you saw, I said, I'm a Scorpio, which is my sun sign, Cancer, my moon sign. My rising sign is also Cancer. So this is your identity and role as a soul. MC, the desired outcome for your work, from your work. So this MC is usually your career line. It usually goes through the 10th house, at the wherever the 10th house is on your chart, usually at the top. So we have your AC, you have your MC. So here's your rising, and here is where it goes through. Here's the 10th house. So this 10th house, this Pisces, it goes through Pisces. So the career line for me goes through Pisces. So very much of a dreaming energy that goes through there. Here we have, and this is sort of giving you kind of where this is the dark, this is nighttime, and this is daytime. So this is above, what's above the horizon, this is what's below the horizon, giving you a sense of an idea of how, when you look at a chart, what's above and what's below. So when we look at a chart and when we want to see if what the different aspects are. So this is also where you will see different lines that are on here. Not going to get too much into the lines today, but what they would mean, and see if, you know, what's squaring off, what's trining, what is, what's bringing in different, okay, sorry. Whoops. My grandson's going over to his dad, so that was his dad just texting. And looking at where things are and where things face off. So if we see a square, like little squares in your chart, this would mean those influences are there. And so squares are like what's budding and what this has to do with this or that. There are different causes of tension within the signs. all are different kinds. So there's different kinds that are there. There's positive ones, there's challenging forces, needing to balance, find more balance. This is going into a lot more advanced of astrology than you just wanting to look at your chart and kind of getting an idea and reading it. So we're not going to get into that today, just so you know. So we're going to help you understand the skill, little quirks and little things. So of as much as we can. When we get into the lines and we get into this, we can get more into the psychology and the mental health issues. And if you have difficult energies in there, and that's what, when I start looking at where the squares are and what's going on, what issues could be arising in your world. Okay. So I'm going to stop this for a moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up, let me see. How many of you have gone online to find your chart? And you've gone online. And how many of you, when you've gone online to get your chart, you know what you got? Or you were totally confused. You're like, yeah, they told me to get my chart. And I'm like, what the fuck? Confused, right? Now, where did you go to get your chart? Just like, did you go onto Cafe Astrology or did you go on to astro.com? What places did you go to get your chart? And an astrology site. Horoscope app, Astro. Okay. Can't recall. It's been too long. Astro Cafe. So one of the ones that I do recommend, recommend Cafe Astrology because it's easy. And they give you an explanation and they're very easy to decipher. Cafe Astrology is a really fabulous site. And I'll pull it up now. No, we'll look at it. So when you're starting out, and this is why I love Cafe Astrology, they have a site map here, they have horoscope, shop, the whole 9 yards. And they come through and they really explain things very nicely. The whole website is laid out easily to find things. You have on the side here where you can find astrology reports, birth charts, interpretations, horoscopes and forecast, astrology forecast and trends. You want to look up famous people, signs of the zodiac, all kinds of things. It has a lot of information here for you. So one of the things that they do have is to obtain your natal chart and the steps to come on here. And it is free to have it on there. So you can click that and you go through here for your free natal chart. And what you will need, it tells you all the things that you need and the steps that you need. And you click here for their natal chart services. It's been a while. I usually use astro.com. And I pay for astro.com to utilize it and to keep people's charts on there. So I, with astro.com. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. So if you already created a chart, if not, create a new chart. So we're going to create a new chart. That's what I'm going to do. And it says that you're able to add a maximum of 12 charts here. It's running a little bit slow. Sorry about that. So you add whatever name you want to add in there. So I'm going to add Susan. So you can add in, so I'll say 14th, and we'll make her August. And boom, boom, boom. What year can we bring her into? Let's do 1967. And then we can say time of day, so 2 p.m. And we'll just do straight 2 p.m. Birthplace, and I'll just put Calgary, submit, and then submit. I don't want specific. There we go. And when you do this, you'll find that a lot of times when you put your city in, there'll be many other cities of the same name in different countries too. So, which is quite interesting. So it talks about, gives a brief overlook of if the birth of time is unknown and all of that, come in, and it just gives you a look at where everything is. So the tropical, the orbs, everything on here, the feminine, masculine, if it's trine, and let's see, gives it a whole description, going all the way down. Let me see if it does a drawing. I thought it did a drawing on here. Sorry. There it is. Woo! Crazy. So for this person I just made up, where their sun is, and looking where their sun is, it didn't break it out into houses for some reason. Maybe because I didn't put in the right time or a time. I thought I did. Yeah, 1400. So I'm showing it. So this is one way for the chart. Let's go over to astro.com. So astro.com, here we have it. We have free horoscopes. So we'll go over here. You can have natal chart or extended chart. We'll just do, I usually go straight into natal, extended chart, I mean. And then I go over here this, because I'm already in here. Let me see. If I log out, it'll ask you to sort of, you have to log in. You're going to have to give some information in that and log in, and then put in your information there. And here's what it'll look like. So I'll say add a new person. You put in their name, and we'll do Susan, female, 14th August. And I said 1967. (2 p.m.) Calgary, Alberta. And it'll tell me up here everything, and then you click to continue. And here you'll have options that you can do, and it says just natal chart. So there are other options down here that you can add if you want to, but we won't add those at this time. We're going to just make it very easy for you. And we click, and there we go. So this person she has a lot going on. Whoever this person, this lovely Susan. So Susan, we look at where her sun sign is. Her sun, she is a Leo, and we find her moon. Her moon is down here in Sagittarius, and her rising sign is in Scorpio. So, and this will tell it all down here. So we have the Leo, the Sag with the rising sign of Scorpio with this. Ooh, interesting. So the Grand Trine. So so that's what you would look at when you first look at a, stop the share, finding it out. Did I go through that too quickly? Okay. So there is a lot, like, see, if I showed you, there's so much information when you're doing this on a, when you're pulling your chart up, or when you're pulling a chart up on someone's website or something along that line, Astro Cafe or astro.com, that it can get overwhelming. And then you look, so I pulled up Susan's chart there, this lovely little Susan, and you see it, you look at it and you're just like, what the hell? There's all this, lines going everywhere. So that's why ignore the lines, zone in on where the sun sign is, zone in in what sign it is and what house it's in. That's so important, okay? Oops. No. So, I got to close the door because my daughter's dog is going to make a whole bunch of noise. There we go. So we're going to go through the houses. How to get that? So the houses. The houses signify different areas of our lives. This is how the energy manifests for us on the physical plane. So we have 12 houses. And the houses show us which area of life are most important for our soul to bring the work, or work on bringing the balance of life, into our lifetime. So there's a reason why, for all of the different houses that are there. So empty houses, or those that don't have any planet points, do not mean, they do not mean anything. You can still read the energy of that house by looking at which zodiac sign it is in. But when we first look at a natal chart, we look at where the planets are and where that emphasis are mostly. So the houses and life areas. So one, the first house, identity, authenticity, and leadership. The second house, values, desires, and goal setting. Third house, social networking. Fourth house, home, family, long-term security. 5, fun and creativity. 6, health, work, daily routines, relationships, one-on-one, and work. Just 1 second, guys. I'm going to pause 1 second.
Anybody get that?
Go. And rings out. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. So 6th house, health, work, daily routines. 7th house, relationships and one-on-one work. 8th house, business, finances, and shadow work. 9th house, education, exploration, and self-discovery. 10th house, career and higher calling. 11th house, community and friendship. 12th house, spirituality and higher purpose. Sorry. There you go. Sorry, somebody asked something, so I'll get to you in a moment. So when we look at a chart, okay, we become a detective. So we are detecting on where that energy is or what we are zoning in on. So here on this chart here, we zone in and we look to see where the sun is. So the sun is here, and the sun is in Scorpio, and it's in the 5th house. The moon is over here, and the moon is in the 12th house. And we also have the ascendant, and it comes into the 1st house. So come into Cancer there. So the thing is that we are looking into what this means. So we look into seeing, okay, what's a Scorpio? Detective, rebirthing, the strategist. So when we look at this, we say, oh, okay, so this person is somewhat of a detective. They have a detective tendency, ever changing, and they are the strategist and ever evolving. That's the Scorpio. And they like to be, in the 5th house, we got artistic. They're finding something, they're wanting to find some rewards, expressing themselves, finding their truth, their self-truth, and what is rewarding, and expressing myself in truth, and always pursuing to new heights and learning. So here we got, when explaining this, we go and we look at, okay, this is what they're looking for. They're wanting to look for pleasure and creativity. They're finding where they want to be ever changing. They don't want to be like everybody else. They want to be the individualist, and they want to find it rewarding. So they don't want to do anything that isn't rewarding to them. Otherwise, they may get bored very fast and stop doing it. And expressing their truth. They're very important for them to express their truth and expressing what they are wanting to do or be. So that's how you sort of start to bring it all together. So you start by looking at a planetary symbol. So we looked at the sun. Then we looked at which zodiac sign it was in. So the sun was in Scorpio. Then we locate which house it falls in. So the Scorpio fell into the 5th house of fun and creativity. So what does it mean when the sun is in Scorpio in the 5th of house of fun and creativity? And so we put it all together. So how you express yourself best, the planet, detective, rebirthing, ever evolving strategist, fun, creativity, pleasure, children, method, or an area of creative self-expression, romance, and lovers. So then we put it all together and we say that this person is one who likes to express themselves, is ever changing, always seeking the truth and going to new heights of their learning and expression. Kind of basic. So that was a quick overview of how to read a chart. Did it make sense? Do you feel like your brain is mush? A little bit. Any questions? I know I sort of I open up and everybody goes, oh, do I ask a question? Yes, there will be a recording of this. Yeah. And your brain's always mush. Okay. After work, not always mush, but after work, it's always mush. So I didn't get into the different layers because getting into the different layers is first that you have to understand the chart itself. The first house is Aries. Aries is the first house on the chart. And Taurus is the second house. So springtime. So right now we are in Aries. Okay, so we're in Aries, and so the sun is in Aries right now, and opposite Aries. So we're going to have a full moon this Sunday. And the full moon is when the moon is opposite the sun. So the moon is going to be opposite the sun. So what's opposite of Aries is Libra. So we're going to have a Libra full moon on Sunday at 11:45 Pacific Standard Time, I think it is. Okay. And when the moon comes around, because it's opposite and then it makes its way around and it comes together, that's the new moon. So when the moon and the sun are together and they're sitting on the same couch or the same bar stool, they're all cozy up, that's a new moon. And the moon takes, it's in a sign for 2.5 days. Boom. So the moon moves to a sign. So the moon is always moving. Here's dog barking. I'm going to put you on. Could you put yourself on mute, please? There we go. So
see you later.
Bye.
Where's my grandson?
He went with his dad, Steve.
Oh, he left already?
Yes. Gotta love my husband. Okay. So totally lost my train of thought. So that's when, so the sun takes 30 days approximately to go around this, to go around. So for us to go around the sun, it takes 30 days. So that's why every 30 days. So when you look at your chart, that's why it's so important to know the date and the time. If you don't know the time, it doesn't matter what town you were born in. Really, it doesn't matter, because we won't know unless you can figure it out. There are astrologers out there that can tell you by talking to you what time you were born. That's not my forte, just an FYI. So you can also go to the registry office to find your time. Sometimes if you've had a wonderful mother who didn't have a lot of children, they usually kept track, but usually by the time they got to the last one, they kind of forgot because they're just happy you were out. With a lot of mothers just like, thank God, it's done. So it's one of those. Yeah. So, and sometimes hospitals do keep it, sometimes they don't. It's all depending. You can go to the registry offices and stuff like that. So the empty houses are what we are to work on. Yes, in our souls. Not necessarily, Pamela. You got to look at what's, the empty houses are just right now are not, when you're born, let's bring up my chart again. So in my chart, there's a lot of things there's a few empty houses here. But the main things that come in that are here to be worked on when I know, because I know my chart a little bit, is that I got to work on one. Let's go over here. Let's start with the first house is where the ascendant is and where this is, the moon is. So it's my first and 12th house. So I got to look into what the first and 12th house is. So the first house, and it's in Cancer, and so the Cancer, so this Cancer has to do with emotion. So how I express my emotions is an important part for me to learn in this lifetime. Learning how to deal with emotions and feelings is a huge one, especially since I have a lot of water. And with the moon being here in the 12th house, that means that there's a lot of hidden emotions that that I don't like to express, working on shadow. So when I look at my chart and I look at Scorpio, and Scorpio likes shadow and it likes to have fun, and we look over at the moon, so there's a lot of shadow work that I've come in here to do. So there's a lot of karma that I come in here to work with. Then I look at where my expression, where a lot to do with my ninth house, which is my higher self, and it's Aquarius and Saturn. So putting that higher self or putting those objectives down into this world in a new order, making a new order of how I am going to relate to others and relate to communities. And then you go over to Jupiter. Jupiter is over here, and here is lovely 11th house. So 11th house is going out, communicating, gathering people, bringing them together. So starting and getting together with communities, that's also part. These houses over here that are not, they get activated with planets that are transiting. So that's where when you get into more details of what's going on and what's happening, more into your future, more in what's going on in your life at that time. And then they get activated then. So that's why when you hear me on the morning scopes and I say, you know, this is like the full moon is going to be at 8 degrees. What in your chart is 8 degrees? Because that's going to be activated. So if you have something that's 8 degrees in your chart, more so you're going to be activated with anything around 8 degrees. I'd go 7, 8, or 9 degrees, thereabouts. That's going to be quite activated because of the full moon on Sunday. And then, you know, same with Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus right now. Where's your Taurus house? Is there any other planets in Taurus? Because Taurus is in Uranus right now. I mean, Uranus is in Taurus right now. So he's activating a lot of shit going on because Tauruses are, this is my world. I want my life to be pretty. I like things to go really nicely. Tauruses don't like to move fast. Don't you dare go into a Taurus house and say, hey, we're leaving now. Let's go. Tauruses will say, what the fuck? First, you didn't call. I'm not ready yet. I got to get my shit together. But Uranus is the one that says, I don't care. You're coming into the car now. So disruption is huge in that house, wherever it is. And then it squares off Saturn. He wants structure. Saturn is structure. He wants to know things. How are you doing it? When are you doing it? This is the structure. He rules Capricorn. Capricorns like to make sure everything is in order. If anybody, you know, my brother's a Capricorn. You know what the best thing to do to him is go into his tie drawer and mess it up. Oh, it really pisses him off. Because he folds everything up very neatly. He has a set order of how he wants things done. It's the goat. How do I get to the top of the mountain? I will help you get to the top of the mountain, but you got to follow these rules to get to the top of the mountain. Patriarchal system, Capricorn, Saturn. New system, Uranus, Aquarius. Right now we got the old system clashing with the new system, and they're squaring off. They're coming head to head. So we ask, what's in your Aquarius house? What's going on? Just without even looking at my chart, I know automatically what's in my Aquarius house is Saturn. So the other thing is to ask, where's your Saturn in your chart? Because that's going to tell me a lot of what's going on in your life and a lot of structures that you've come in here to work on. And is your Saturn squaring off? Do you have a Saturn opposition right now? Do you have, are you coming into a Saturn return? So anybody in your life or anybody that you know is in between the ages of 28 and 30, they're going through their first Saturn return. So disruption in their life. That's health, movie, that so things that could happen to you. So if you think about between the ages of 28 and 30, what happened in your life? Did you have a baby? Did you get married? Did you get divorced? Did somebody die? Did you move? Big things happen at that time. And your second one is between 57 and 60. So for your second one, you go back and you look at what happened to your first one. You went, oh God, there was a lot of celebrations and I moved. All kinds of crazy things happened. I had 2 kids and I moved when I was pregnant with my second. So I had 1 child and I decided to move and pack up and just pack everything up and just leave. I moved back to Penticton and I had my second child. So, I mean, I'm going into my second Saturn return. My Saturns will be conjunct next year, February. So I know there's going to be some crazy disruptions in my life. Huge. Plus Uranus is there squaring it all off. So it's going through a lot of stress and strain and changes within myself, not only physically, mentally, and in my approaches in doing things. So when you look at your chart and you're just like, yeah, holy shit. So this prepares me to say, okay, be prepared, Mary, so you don't go buy a gun and shoot somebody. So just understanding those types of things that are going on in your life. And sometimes in your life, you will have where you are, things are great. Things are going really well because you have a lot of energy in your chart to get things. You got motivation. So there's times in your chart where things are moving, things are going, and you're in a cycle to bring in the prosperity and the abundance, and things are going well. You're in a high learning process, and then the next time you come into it, you're in a change of like, wow, there's just a lot of things going on. And I look at somebody's chart and I'll say, yeah, you're going through a lot of psychological changes, and there's really a lot of things that are happening with you psychologically. You're dealing a lot with Uranus and Neptune and Saturn. God help you. That means there's a lot of mental disorders that are coming in and that you have to deal with them and how you deal with them. If you have a Scorpio sun and a Aquarius moon, I can guarantee you that there's going to be some kind of form of mental disorders that are going to come into your house, into yourself in some point in your life. Just that's what happens. And then I want to know where your Neptune and Uranus are. So if you were born in the early 90s, or if you know anybody born in the early 90s and late 80s, they probably have Pluto in Scorpio. So anybody who has Pluto and Scorpio, huge mental illnesses that are in that generation with Pluto and Scorpio. That whatever, millennials, the millennials. They're the highest rate of mental illness in our society ever, believe it or not. And they're the highest drug users and hallucinogenic drugs out of any generation, believe it or not, and experimental drugs. And they have a Neptune and Uranus conjunction in Capricorn. So we have two party guys coming together with Capricorn. So do you think Capricorn wants a bunch of potheads and partiers in their house, disrupting it? That's what you got when you got Uranus and Neptune coming in. They're the partiers. They're the shit disturbers. So if you think of the millennials are the shit disturbers of a generation of shit disturbers who wanted to make changes, but they showed up and they said, oh my God, what the hell did we get into? So they zoned out. They left it to the Pluto and Sagittarius. The Pluto and Sagittarius are like, whew, what do we have to do? They get busy with all kinds of stuff. Want to bring in a lot of spiritual stuff, a lot of this, a lot of that. They're bringing it all in, trying to figure it all out. And then in 2008, Pluto went into Capricorn. And each time you see a planet move, something happens in our world. So that's why it's so interesting to watch how the planets move. Does anybody remember what happened on January 6th, 2021? Washington, D.C. And what happened that day on Washington, D.C.? The big riot, yes. The descent onto Washington. You know what happened that day? Lovely little planet was in Aries for a long, long time for 2020. And a lot of people were getting upset that he was there. But anyways, he decided he was at 29 degrees at the beginning of that day. So people were gathering. Yeah, right? Bang. He hit and he dropped into Taurus. Taurus is Earth. Riot, disruption. And by the end, and as he was moving into it later on that day, that's when they called in for help. Because he hit the Earth. So it's amazing when planets move and you see and you start to watch, you could see it play out in the world. You know, and that's what's so beautiful when you start looking into astrology in a deeper level. And then you look into your chart and you can see it in your chart playing out in your own life. So you can go back and you can go back and you can start looking at different aspects and then look at your chart and say, whoa, okay, I remember this. Oh, I remember between the 27 and you know, say 28 to 30. Yeah, that was a crazy time in my life, or that was a joyful time, or that was, you know, great, crazy transitions that were happening in my life. How many people love 15-year-old children? Usually not. I mean, we love children. Yes, they're wonderful. But do you know why there's such a disruption with when they turn? It's like all of a sudden they're going along and they're, yeah, you know, things are happening. Hormones are going and great things are going. And they're very, you know, they seem so sweet and wonderful. And they're like 13, 14 personality changes. They have their first opposition with Saturn. What is Saturn? Saturn is structure. Saturn is structure in this world. They're having an opposition. Who are they questioning? They're questioning the world. They're questioning everything. They're rebelling. That's Saturn opposition. So we look at these different aspects that are happening in somebody's chart and we're saying, okay, this is what's going on. When you know it and you understand and you have an understanding of it, then you can start saying and taking a look at it and saying, wow, okay, I don't have to control the world. I could take a step back. Right now is my time to sort of take it easy and just to allow for things to unfold and not try and control everything. I could just breathe. So when we see these certain things in a chart, then we can sort of, then we really understand more of what's happening. It's like a nice little, you know, when people say that you didn't, you know, that you wanted to sort of information about what to do with your child when they're born, you got it. It's a natal chart. It gives you an understanding of exactly of what's going on. It really does. You get to understand and you get to sort of navigate how that child feels, what goes on with them. You know, if you have a water child, right? So if you have a Scorpio or a Cancer child, you know, Cancers want to be hugged. You know, water signs want, you know, they're emotional. They want to feel, right? If you have a fire sign, well, they don't want, if something's going on in their life, they don't want to be held. No, they want to, and then they're done. And then they're like, okay, let's sit down and watch TV. And you're like, you don't want to discuss it? No, I'm done. Hence the fire. Earth, they probably go around and slam every freaking door in the house and stomp, 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 to let everybody know that they're around because they're Earth. They're mad. They'll go in the kitchen, they'll clang the pots. Something's going on. They got to be heard. They are Earth, right? Air, and then they're done. It's like a bolt of lightning. That's what comes in. When you understand that with a child, then you're able to say, okay, I'll let you have that time and then we're going to discuss it. Or let me come here and let me just hold you for a minute. Okay, you're having a tantrum? All right, stomp away and then we, you know, just don't destroy anything in my house. Don't break a window. Don't put your fist through a wall. So they come out in different ways. And a lot of times, you know, when you look at the different signs where, you know, air signs are very methodical. They think, they see things. You talk to a Gemini, they're probably 2 steps ahead of you because they've already done it and they're bored and they want to go on to something else. They're done. Check out. We're done. Why are you talking about it now? In school, Geminis or air signs need to stand. They need to move. They can't sit at a desk for very long. They get agitated. They have to get up, they have to stand up, they have to sit, they have to fidget, they doodle. Doesn't mean they're not paying attention though, because they are 99.9% of the time, they know exactly what you just said. They just don't have to give you eye contact because they got it. Earth signs, here we are, we're here, we got everything in order. Okay, what's going on? What do you mean we're not doing that today? Hold on, you said yesterday, this is what we're doing, and you're saying we get recess first? That's not in my agenda. Oh my God. I'm not prepared for recess. No, we're having recess. I am not prepared for recess. They get upset because you just changed the whole thing. You gave them a detour, right? Fire signs, they come in and they're like, oh, what's going on over there? What's happening? Oh, yeah, okay, we're over here. Really? And then the Leo comes in. Sometimes Leos can be shy, but if they're in a comfortable position, they want to be a part of all the conversation. What's going on? What's happening? Oh, really? Can we go? And let me ask you a question. Whoa, okay. And it's funny because, I could tell by certain signs, if I say goodbye to somebody and then they do a remark, I sometimes play with them and I reply back to them. And certain signs like air or air signs or fire signs, they have to reply back. They can't let you have the last word. God forbid if they do. They have to. You text them and you send them a cute little emoji. Guess what? They're going to send you an emoji back. Yeah. Or if you didn't answer them right away. It's like, where are you? Why aren't you answering me? Sorry, I was in the bathroom. Oh, fine. Don't you take the phone there? No. So we have, when you look at these different personalities, right? They shine out and they come out. And same with the water signs. I mean, the water signs, the funny thing about water signs, they don't always show their emotions. It's got to really hit them in some way. But they can feel everybody else's emotions. So sometimes when you're dealing with somebody who's a water sign, and especially as a child, they don't understand that the anger they're feeling is not anger directed at them. They just feel somebody's angry. And they can feel all of that emotions. So sometimes they don't know how to deal with it. So a lot of times with, when you're dealing with that of a water sign, they will do some form of escapism, or they will go and they will retreat. And they can retreat very easily. So these are little things that, when you look at it, then you start adding the planets. So you add in where their moon is. So what's going on with their moon? Because that's their internal part. So if you have somebody, even, with an Aries moon. So an Aries moon, that internal part that let me get things started. Let me get going. I got to start something. They might feel that inside themselves. A Taurus moon is like, whoa, that ain't the way I want it. I want something that looks good. Taurus moons are very particular. They want things that look good. It doesn't. They might have like an Aquarius sun, but their internal core is like, yeah, we want things to look good. They like it. They like things that are nice, and they're not. Sun or Taurus moon, they're not going to go secondhand. If they like a certain perfume or a certain thing to drink, if they only drink Sprite, don't give them 7-Up because they will not drink it. Nor will they go out and buy it if you ask them, because that's just not on their agenda, or it's out of their way. May not be, might be on the same aisle that they're buying their Sprite, but they're going to bypass the 7-Up and go straight to their Sprite and put it in their cart and off they go, because that's just what they do, right? And Geminis is like, there's this internal chat, there's a chatter, there's talking. Anxiety can happen very much so, especially with, when you have that Gemini. So you start looking at, oh, okay, And a Cancer moon, whoa, emotion, feeling the depths of the emotion and rushing water and energies that are coming through on a Cancer moon. And the Cancers will feel the moon in every single other sign, depending where the moon is, because that's their ruler. So we start to, look into these different parts. And if you have this Leo moon, the Leo moon wants to get out there. They want to be a part of, they want to start doing things and be creative. That's internal. They want to come out. And they might struggle with that a bit. And wanting to come out and wanting to let that fire out. A Virgo moon, chatter. They probably have a talk in their head that they can't shut up. Same with the Sun. It's just a chatter. And they'll probably do, and they probably they probably talk to themselves a lot. Because they're talking about a list that they have, and they're going through the list. They're not asking you to answer. They're just doing their thing. That's what, that Virgo does. Right? Pam's like, yes, oh my God. And then we go to the Libra. So if you have a Libra moon, it's like, I got to make sure everything balances. Everything's got to look good. Oh, you want me to make a decision right now? I'll make it look good. But internally with that moon there or that sun there, it's like, whoa, you're going to take me to the candy store and I got to choose only 5 things? Oh my God. I can't choose 5 things. What about those other 5 things? They're going to be left out. That's not going to make it look good. Takes them a long time. But they have a very loving personality. People usually really like Libras. Libras they can snuggle up to. Something about Libras. And then we go into the Scorpio and the Scorpio moon. Scorpio moon's deep. They're taboo. They will push limits where people normally won't push limits. They will ask questions that people won't normally ask questions. They will talk about topics that people don't want to talk about or want to ignore. And it's that internal, and it's that depth, and it's that shadow. I always call Scorpios lava. They're not water, they're lava. They take you to hell. That's what Scorpios do. So between Geminis are so happy that they're Scorpios because Geminis are the second hated sign. Scorpios are the first. Because we say things the way things are said. Geminis just like blah, and they leave the room. Scorpios go blah and want to see your reaction. Did I really do that to you? Cool. So that's with the Scorpios. Sagittarius, party sign. I want to get involved. I want to get doing things. I want to do this. I want to do that. Let's get going. Boom, boom, boom. Sagittarius, even with internally, Sagittarius are photo bombers. They will photobomb any picture. Like they want to be a part of it in some way, right? Capricorn, don't change their schedule. If you have a child with a Capricorn moon, it doesn't matter what sun sign, if you tell them 9 o'clock and you show there at 9:05, they are like, what, Mom, you said 9 o'clock. Why are you late? And then the Aquarius, inquisitive. They don't like to repeat things. They've done it, and they are the crazy professor. They are, they are the mad professor. They want to look at things and formulate things, and they think very abstract. Right down to the Piscean. Piscean is ruled by the drug lord. They're ether. They can get distracted. They need a list. If you tell them to clean up a room, you got to tell them exactly how to do it. Otherwise, they will, they can't do it. And they don't like to argue. They will give you the benefit of doubt. If you really get them angry, it takes a lot to get them angry. That means that you've taunted them. Because they really don't want to deal with, they will just say, here, go ahead, you're right. Just to make you happy and shut up. So, but being, with that sign that, also with, having a moon in Pisces is another one that I'd look at and I'd be, I ask questions. I mean, I when I look at people's chart and I'll look at them, I'm like, oh, you do drugs? Are you doing hallucinogenics right now? Or asking what kind of drugs that they do use? Or if they have used them? Because it's usually in their chart somewhere. You can tell that where their Neptune and stuff are, and their Uranus. So there you guys go. Run through a little bit more and hopefully gave you a little bit more insight on doing your chart. And if you like, I do have classes that are coming up. I do have a fairy class that is coming up. Ooh, fairy just popped in. And see the fairy? Popped in. Hi. I have a fairy workshop that's coming in, and it is 15 weeks. It is one where you will be given work during the week to do. There's going to be shadow work, and it's discovering your goddess side and learning how to work with the goddess energy. The workbook that we would be working from, one of the workbooks is, and it's an obscure book, out of print, but you can still get it on Amazon, and it is used, and it's called To Be a Goddess. And it is by Francisca de Grandes. I studied with Francisca back in 1997, 98. And everything I did with her was by phone. It was basically just when the computers were coming out. But she's a Fae shaman and studied under Victor Andrews and Coral. And so this is the book that we would be using along with show it to you guys again. So if you're interested in there, all my classes have payment plans. Just saying, they have payment plans, and I work with your budget. I don't put up a payment plan and I say that you have to pay at this time because everybody's payday is different. So just an FYI, I work with your payment plan, and I have it, it's 15 weeks. So there's that class that's coming in, and we will touch on wherever his book went. There's another, it's called Fairy Witchcraft. Oh. We're going to use, we'll touch a little bit on him. He also studied with Cora Anders. He also studied, he studied with Francisca. This is one of her students who wrote this book. So this is the other book that we will be touching in on. For working with the fairies. Working with fairies is a very interesting, it's not always fluffy, working with fairies, just saying. And the other course that I have is my Angel Alchemy class, which I am bringing in the female archangels as well. And we make the Angel Alchemy that we work with, we begin with 16 cardinal archangels in the 4 directions. And we bring in the sub-directions. So we work with the 8 directions and the Divine Mother in the center, and we're building another center wheel with the female archangels with that. So you're building a beautiful magical wheel to work with and work with the angelic realm. So that course is coming up. My astrology class will be coming out, and I'm not going to have it come out, but it's going to come out in June. And I'm going to break it down in 4-week points. So you could take 4 weeks and then 4 weeks and then 4 weeks and breaking it down. So my, how I see it in my brain and how I've been working at it is that we begin by talking about the planets and getting to know the planets. So we begin to learn about the planets, and we do that for 4 weeks. So we break down the planets so that you can, bringing in very shamanically how the planets work and how you can relate to the planets and bringing them in. So you have that understanding. Then we bring the planets into the chart. And you sort of have a placement of where. So we work for 4 weeks of placing them into the charts and where they are. And with that, we bring in the constellations. So the next 4 weeks is breaking it down and bringing in the constellations. And then, so it's going 4, 4, 4. So we have 12 weeks altogether, and we break it off. So you could take just the first 4, or if you feel you're more adept, you can take the last 4. It's up to you where you are in your journey of astrology. There are many beautiful astrologers out there that you can learn from. That I'm not registered with any astrology organization. There are astrologers, if you want to work with, that do belong with certain astrology associations. I don't. In my lifetime and in this lifetime, I don't belong to any associations. It's just one of those things that I signed up in, and I know it's one of my karmic contracts to not belong to any associations. I've tried, and it doesn't work well for me. So, and it's just one of those things for me. A lot of people come in, they're here to organize, work with different organizations and stuff like that, and they're fabulous. The astrologers that I have worked with are not exactly astrologers that a lot of people get along with or have issues. I work with, I've taken classes from Kay Pacha, who does the Pele Report on YouTube. I've taken classes and I've worked with since 2016. Was it 2016? Oh my God. David Palmer, the Leo King. He's not somebody's cup of tea. He's not, a lot of people have issues with him. He's a double Leo with a Taurus moon. So he comes across, here you are. So he's a very strong personality type of person. Rick Levine is another one, and his nickname, and his actual Rick Merlin Levine is his name. And I love him because he's Merlin. That's actually his actual legal name is Merlin. So he is, that guy's mind, the things that you ask him a question and he's worse than I am. He's got like so much information inside of him. It's just unbelievable. Fabulous, very detailed astrologer on doing things. Another astrologer, and I can't remember her name. Her name is Anne. Anne is a double Virgo. She's from New York. And if you want things more in fact and straight off the hip, Anne is going to give it to you. Now, these astrologers, some of them do not do readings anymore. And if you ever want a reading from them, you're going to have to wait, and you're going to pay anywhere between $3,000 to $10,000. And I'm not joking. That's how much they charge for you to read a chart. Most of them have a wait list that is anywhere from 3 months. Some of them have a 6-year wait list, and so they are no longer doing readings. So that's, so there are astrologers that are out there. There's different ones. Some astrology, if I listen to certain astrologers and I listen to them from a little bit, sometimes they annoy me. I don't know. They just like, So different astrologers have different ways of doing it. There's many different types of astrology out there, from predictive astrology to karmic astrology to medical astrology, diamond astrology. There's astrology to read how to do investments and when is the best time to do investments. So there are so many different types of astrology. It's coming in and finding yours. Mine is intuitive and predictive. That's my astrology. That's what I do. So there's so many different types of astrology out there and working with it. So it's finding what's right for you. Astrology classes on average, when you are looking at them, and if you're going to do them, most astrology classes are now online. You won't find, because of COVID and COVID protocols right now, they will be depending, unless you belong to an association. So if you belong to an association, then you probably will pay less for the courses. But the courses for something like how I'm doing it can cost anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 on average for those astrology classes. So I try and make mine as affordable as I can for me. And one, because I don't belong to an association, so I'm not going to charge you $1,500 to $3,000 for any astrology class. That's just not my thing. To me, knowledge is power. The more knowledge I can give you, the more things I can give you, and do things like this for free. I love it. It's fun. I get, this jacks me up, right? This is part of my caffeine. Yes, I still have coffee, by the way. Yeah. So, this is what I love to do. I'm a teacher, and I love to teach. And giving people information, as much information, and finding books. For books, I don't have a lot of astrology books per se. Most of my stuff I do is on, it's like I have PDFs of things that I've acquired from either the Leo King, Rick Levine, working with Kay Pacha. And it's funny, Rick is an Aries, and both Kay Pacha and David Palmer are Leos. So I seem to work with very well. I work with fire energies. So I do really well with fire energies. So when it comes to a lot of different, like some depending on their signs, I think because I'm a Scorpio, it's very, we clash. We clash. There's another one, another young guy, and but he's kind of another one, and his name is the Peace Dealer, and he's a young guy, and he's one of the up and coming astrologers that are coming in. So he's another one that I've been following for a while, and he's a little bit obscure. And most of my astrologers usually use except for Rick, usually swear quite a bit. So they have a little bit of a flowery language also in what they do. So that will give you some ideas. Will you be doing readings as time permits, say a year down the road, or are you going exclusively to courses? Good question, Dana. My calling is to do, is teaching. It's coming in teaching. So readings are sort of, this is how my guides work, just an FYI. They come in and they say to me, hey, you know what? You're going to give up readings. This is what they did for healings, because I used to do Lomis, and I'm a Reiki master. And my guide said, you're going to stop. You know what? You shouldn't be doing healings anymore. You're going to stop doing healings. And I'm like, okay, but healings are all part of what I do. I had a high clientele that would come in and get aromatherapies and I would do the Lomis on them. And it was just like what they do to me, or what my guides do to me. All of a sudden, people stop booking them, and that was my sign. Okay, this is I need to stop this. Same with readings. So my readings are going more to a natal chart reading and coaching. So I'm stepping into the spiritual coaching realm, and not so much the so-called psychic kind of readings. They're there, they come in. I can't turn off my psychic abilities, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, it's still there. Most people get to know me through my readings first before they do anything else. So that's a tough question. That is a real tough question for me, because my guides are really pulling me, because I want to start doing more and of the classes so I can reach more people. The way the energies are going right now, and with the energies with COVID, we are in this energy till, well, I tell people 2025, but I'm sorry, we're in this till 2030. We're in huge transition and change. The last time, okay, for instance, if you want to do some history with astrology, the last time Uranus was in Taurus was in 1930. 1930, they were segregating people. They were putting stars on people. They were, different countries were making sure that people weren't eating, starvation, so that they can look good to the rest of the world. At that time, there was a country that wanted to take over the world, and they started going into other countries and take over. Fake governments were put up. That's all I'm going to say about that one. There were things that were happening with Uranus in Taurus. So Uranus brings in change, brings in transformation. Other things that came in with Uranus in Taurus was penicillin, new age or new types of industry. All of this newness started to come in with Uranus in Taurus, and more millionaires were made with Uranus in Taurus during the Great Depression? How many billionaires were made during COVID? So interesting, new innovative ways. Other crazy things, Chiron in Aries. Last time Chiron in Aries was in the 70s. What was happening in the 70s? Well, let me see. Watergate. The United States decided not to back their dollar by the gold. Let me see. Oh, AMC Pacers. Man, that was a car. The Gremlins. Oh my God, another really cool cars. And you were deciding whether to wear bell bottoms and have an afro. Chiron in Aries. So weird things starting to come in, different fashions. If you look at the fashion today and you go into a store, if we ever get to go into one again, or you look online, it's very 70s. Very 70s. So there's a lot of this type of, you look at this, you look at where things are and you start to see, that's how I predicted the pandemic. Was because of where Saturn was with Pluto. Last time they met was during a pandemic. Every time they get together, it is a pandemic. Things happen. And Jupiter just expanded it faster. Saturn as soon as Saturn went into Aquarius, I knew there'd be a vaccine coming out. But it would be something that would be totally abstract and not something that you want to inject in your body, because not all the information is there. Mad scientist. So you got to look at it. It's like, oh, a mad scientist? Oh, interesting. So you look at all this, I look at it and I watch it and see how it's being played out and how fast things are happening. So by the end of this year, I can guarantee there's going to be something radical coming out by the vaccine. So Pluto is also one who gets to the depths of things. Pluto and Saturn is pandemics. And when Pluto and Saturn met in Capricorn, Capricorn is of this world, is mundane. It is the earth. It is a patriarchal system. So when Saturn and Pluto met on January of last year, it was around January 12th of last year, when they met, that was the first COVID diagnosis and death. So it was like, wow, there's something crazy coming in. Taurus, and also with the energies of Uranus and Taurus, was the changing of our money system. Money system changes and the banking system changes with Uranus and Taurus in the 1930s. What's happening now is our banking system is changing. We are going to a faceless currency. That's what we're going to. You will not have money by 2023 in your pocket. It'll be gone if not before. So these are the things when you look at the planets, you're like, oh, okay. You kind of see a correlation of what goes on and what are the transformation and changes that make and that are happening. And great inventions, great new, with Saturn coming into Aquarius is like innovations, newness, new things that are happening. So things like that. So it's okay. So yeah, I'm sorry keeping you guys a little bit longer than expected. But when we look at these things and these trends that are happening, we can see the trends within the planets. And then there's history that goes along with it. And with Saturn and Pluto and being in Capricorn, we know that something was planned or something was man-made with that of the pandemic, because it's in Capricorn. It wasn't in something, it wasn't in an air sign, so it's not airborne. It has to be earthborn. Earthborn of man, Capricorn, man, patriarchal system. And how come the vaccine came out the same day that England announced a variant? Interesting. So we look at these things, a lot of people don't see the correlation. But when we start to look at them, we're just like, oh, so that's why North Node Gemini is saying question. Question. Why aren't you questioning? Why aren't you using your voice? Geminis, I mean, have you ever been in a room and Gemini didn't say anything? Like, really? You know, you're with a group of people, Gemini's got to say something or be quirky or, you know, comment on somebody coming in. That's what a Gemini does. They ask questions. Why are you wearing that? Why did you ask that? What's going on there? That's really stupid. No, that's ugly. I wouldn't dare wear that out in public. Gemini. And Mars is there, so it's like direct. Let's get the direct action going. Let's get going. Let's get motivated. Let's do this. Let's get going. So we got this energy right now. So all the planets are direct. We have all this energy to get things going. This full moon is a very powerful full moon that's going to help us to get things activated. It's a full moon in Libra. Sun is exalted. Sun loves being there because it can just shine and start something new. So this is a beautiful time to really start something. This is a time to really look at where the new moon was in October of last year. What were you doing in October of last year in around the new moon? So that would have been in around Halloween. What was going on? What was happening? So this is about innovation, new moon, what was going on, bringing it to what now. Was it working? Now you have to look at what you're going to release with the full moon. And then with that full moon, what you're going to release and plant for the next new in October. So doing that activation. There's activation points to help you. So my loves, I know I kept you longer than anticipated. So see, this is what I do. So sorry. There is my workbook. I do have my Libra full moon workbook. If you're interested in it, it's a PDF download and it goes through working with the Libra full moon. So I got the Libra one and I have the Aries one. They're both together, they're $20 if you're wanting to get, if you want them. They're on my website, The Guru Mama, if you're interested in it. So yeah, Melissa loves the book. She's gotten the book. So people who start using them really love them. They are, I do take time and I do work with a few other astrologers and stuff and putting that workbook together. So because I'm not a yoga person, I got a yoga person that tells me this is what we should be doing during Libra season. Cool. Okay. All right. My body doesn't bend that way anymore. Sorry. It's, yeah, I'm lucky I can touch my toes at times. So there's that workbook. If you're interested, it has some really good questions and stuff that you can utilize and work with this full moon and just sort of give you some trigger points to get motivated. And if you can get outside during this full moon and light a fire or get outside to ignite anything, this would be a fabulous time to really start that first spring fire of the year. That would be absolutely fabulous for that. So this is recorded. I will send you out the recording. Check out my website, The Guru Mama, and you can tell I'm not really a hard salesman that says, oh, this is what you're going to buy now. No, not going to do that. That's not my thing. So if you're wanting a reading, you're wanting to know anything else, definitely get a hold of me and have a blessed evening, everybody, and a great Friday night. So thank you so much for joining me. Blessings, everyone. Bye-bye.